and welcome to the Momversation Club, the podcast born out of the idea that every mum needs a tribe. I'm Claire Strong.
And I'm Christina Struckmeyer. We're two moms just like you, navigating a chaotic, challenging, and often isolating world of motherhood.
Now, it's said that it takes a village to raise a child, but we want to know, where the F is that village?
Yeah, Claire, it's a question that resonates with so many of us who find ourselves raising children, managing careers, all while trying to maintain our own identities, often with a sense of isolation.
But we're here to remind you that you're not alone. The Momversation Club is your village, a place where you feel respected, appreciated, valued, and understood.
We believe that by sharing our own experiences, successes, and struggles, that we can create a virtual village for all you amazing mamas out there.
So join us every week for real, raw, and relatable discussions about all aspects of being a mum, including the things you just can't talk about with anyone else.
So if you've ever asked yourself where the F is the village, well, you found your tribe. Let's get into it.
Hi, Christina.
Hey, Claire, how are you?
I'm good. It's quite warm here today. How about you? What's it
I
like
know,
where you are?
it's just always so hot. I feel like Northern California has like two modes. It's like freezing balls or like hot, sweat your tits off hot.
That's so cool. So my husband, you'll know this because my husband's dad is related to your husband's dad, which is why we're kind of related through marriage.
Connected.
So, but my husband Kyle, he always tells me this story about when his dad grew up in the Bay Area. So for people who aren't listening in the US, we're talking about the San Francisco Bay Area in California, which is Northern California. And so where his dad used to grow up, the weather was pretty nice, and in the summer it got warm. But his dad used to have to travel into the city, into San Francisco, to work. And even on the hottest summer day, he'd need to take a coat with him, because by the time he got to the Bay Area and San Francisco proper, it was absolutely freezing.
Yeah, because of the ocean and the breeze gives you that cool wind.
Yes,
it's
off
like
the San Francisco Bay, crazy different climates within one state. It's insane.
It's wild. And, you'll talk to other people. Like I have other moms who listen to us and reach out, and they'll say, oh, well, if you think it's hot, like I'm in Arizona, or if you think it's cold, I'm here. And it's just always funny to hear how people respond to everything. And then when crazy weather hits us, like we freak out. Like we've had snow a couple times, and people don't know how to drive.
I can definitely attest, as someone who's lived in places that are very cold and rain a lot, that we get pretty good weather here in California. So we can't really complain, can we?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that our heat though is starting to come to a place where we're getting into the fall, because I'm a fall girly. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about the fall and back to school time. And I'm just thinking about it like very fondly, because there's so many things I look forward to, not only with like the way the seasons change and the holidays and such, but like I feel like back to school time is so unique for moms. It's kind of like our ability to start over. Like, I feel like we're, like when you change schools for the first time or something, and you're going, elementary school to middle school or middle school to high school, you're like, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to be a different person. That's how I feel every school year. I mean, what about you, Claire? How do you feel when back to school comes around?
Yeah, so it's a combination. I think I'm glad that the girls are going back to school. I feel that they need to go back to school, because as great as summer is, I do feel towards the tail end of the summer holidays, people are getting a little bit bored. And so I think just from a structure point of view, it's nice for them to go back. But I'm just always a little nervous, especially for my older one, about the type of year that she's going to have. Because, when you have a kid who has ADHD or is on the spectrum in some way, it's always, are they, she's desperate to make friends, for example, new friends. And so you're kind of thinking, I hope she makes friends. I hope she's not bullied. I hope that she is able to, not struggle so much with certain subjects like math, for example, which I know she really dislikes. And bless her, she's done summer school this year, math summer school for 6 weeks. And I'm really proud of her.
Gosh.
I know. I'm really proud of her though, Christina, because she's stuck it out and she's managed to, raise a grade. And so she's not had the summer that I think she would have ideally have wanted, to say the least. It's a mixed bag for me when they go back to school, but I do know what you're saying about it's a chance for them, if they so wish, to reinvent themselves. But for us as mums, I know I kind of have a few things that I want to improve on right out of the gate. And one of those things, which I'm sure lots of mums can attest to, especially if you've got a kid who's got an IEP or something, responding to emails like in a timely fashion, because I just get so many of them. And I mean to get back to these people quickly, but quite often when I read the initial email, I don't have the time or brain capacity in that moment to reply properly. So I'll star it, so I know it's important, and I'll come back to it. But then that could be I come back to it in a day or 2 days because my schedule hasn't allowed for me to really have time to think through the reply.
I hear you. I get so many emails, and it's not what's crazy is when you have kids, especially if they have activities and
Mm.
such, you're getting like calendar stuff, you're getting dress up days, you're getting emails about the IEP stuff, um, emails everywhere. Everybody and their mom is emailing you. And it's like, then the paperwork, all the paperwork that comes back too,
Yeah.
because people are still using like old school paper in the backpack over here, at least.
Oh yeah, they
It's
do.
hard. It's
Massively.
hard to
Yeah.
keep it organized.
Mhm.
So, have you thought about this? Like, have you thought about how you might stay on top of it? How you have any ideas?
I think with me, as much as in the moment that I receive the email, I may not have the time or mental capacity to respond, I just know myself so well. And I think I just need to respond. Even if it's not
Right
the
then.
most, yeah, even if it's not, the most thorough of responses, I could always go back and send a follow-up email. But I think for me, I just need to say, hi, thanks, even if it's a case of, hi, thanks for your email. I'll, get back to you with a more detailed response. Even if it's that, just me acknowledging
Well,
that I've received the email would be a good start.
and the thing about it too is the urgency isn't always needed either.
Of
Like,
course.
I think that 48 hours, unless there's like an emergency like subject, is plenty time to
Mhm.
respond to a teacher. I don't expect an immediate response from someone when I email them. I imagine they'll get to it in a couple days.
Yeah.
If I haven't heard from you in a week, then I'm gonna re-email you and say, "Hey, where you at?" But maybe not the pressure of like I have to respond right now. Maybe some sort of system. I mean, what works for me is I'm a folder gal. Like, I love a
I know you
folder
are.
on my desktop right now. I have like personal and then my husband's name and then podcasts and to do. And if I have something that needs to get done this week, I put it in my to do. And then, but you have to go back to that folder.
Yes.
And that's the thing.
That's
And
the
you go back
snag,
to it.
isn't
And so in my email, I have also a follow up folder, and I'll put things that I see that need to get followed up to in the follow up. And then every weekend, I try to go to my follow up folder and make sure I did do that, because otherwise they just stay in the follow up folder forever and die, basically. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you have to you have to do that second action, but
Mm.
whatever works for you. But I love that you're trying to stay more on top of it. I think that's the big thing
Yes,
that you're
and
getting
then
across.
then the other thing, and I think I did do a better job of this last year. Well, some days I did, maybe not, maybe not 5 out of 5 days a week, but especially with my older one, I need to not get us stressed if she isn't on time for school. And I know that sounds a ridiculous thing to say, but me losing it in the car on the way to school over anything, actually, and with either of my daughter, is not the best way to start their school day, and it's not the best way for me to start my day. So what I need to learn to do as the adult in the room is not bring up things that could be like you know potential hotspots of a topic. So whether it's something that the girls did that morning, don't bring it up in the
Mhm.
car. That's not the time and place. They need to be in a good mindset to have a good day at school. So any of that type of stuff can wait. And so yeah, just basically for me, my own self, having some showing some self-restraint is I guess how I would phrase it.
Yeah.
And
Well, you're
waiting
trying to
until
set a vibe
school.
like in the car so that they can take that tone with them to school. And
Yeah.
then for you too, because if you start the day arguing, then you've got that, heart rate up. You're kind of like, not through with talking to them, but they're at school now, so you're thinking about it. Like,
Oh, it's
it's a
awful.
no-win for either of you.
It's a lose-lose, absolutely. And the thing with it is, not only so they'll certainly have a bad start to their day. And I know my eldest is particularly sensitive. So I've practically, ruined her day if I've lost my temper with her in the car, whether or not it was her fault, the actual substance was her fault, but my reaction does not help. And then for me,
Yeah.
then I spend the rest of that day feeling like a terrible parent, and I'm waiting until home time to kind of, make it up with them. So, yeah, so I'm going to really try and make sure that for my part at least, mornings in particular are as stress free as possible and as calm as possible. So I don't want to be the person bringing the chaos to the table. And I'd like to think I'm going to be able to respond in a much more measured way when things are kicking off.
Yeah, because you'll have some time to process it too, and then come from a place of like actually wanting to problem solve and not bring in the little tit for tat stuff you might in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Well, speaking of set the tone, that's one of mine is the morning time. I think that the morning's such a specific time when you're in back to school mode because it can set the tone for a good day or a bad.
Oh, it
And
does.
for me, one of the things that I really want to do this year, and I say it every year, it's like that New Year's resolution. You're like, okay, get organized. And the next year, it's like, get organized. Like every year, you're writing it down.
Yeah.
For me, it's I gotta take care of myself before the kids get up. I have a really hard time taking care of me and getting them ready at the same time. And I have
Mhm.
assistants. I have my husband. He does have to pop in and out during the morning for farm stuff, but like he's there helping with things and we've got a routine down. But what happens is I get up and I immediately go grab the little one.
Mm.
And I'm potty training. So we're getting everything going for that. And then I'm waking up the older one and I'm getting them breakfast. And before I know it, we have 10 minutes to leave. And I look like something that crawled from under a bridge. And my hair is like, I don't even know. And I'm wearing like a moo and it's a whole situation. It's a look.
Yeah,
You don't know what a moo is?
No. Is it an American
Oh,
thing?
it's like a dressing gown kind of like thing.
No.
But it's for me, they're comfortable. So it's like Walmart sells these little t-shirt dresses.
Okay.
And they're usually like an ugly old school print or something or kind of frilly, but it's like what our grandmas used to wear
Oh,
back in
I
the day. And
see. Yes.
I wear those.
Like more like a traditional nightdress. I just never heard of
Yeah, like a
the movie.
traditional nightgown.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have like the sleeves. I have a kind of more modern one. But yeah, I that's what I'm rocking. I'm rocking like a traditional nightgown, with my hair all a mess. My husband's a lucky man. Um, so I'm like, okay. And then what happens is I throw on whatever I can find quickly. And then, my hair stays the way it is and I put sunglasses on. And that's how I show up, almost to the point where once I came actually looking like the way I do on the pod, where it's like, decently dressed and have my hair brushed. And another little kid was like, "Where are you going?" I'm going to like a special event. And
Oh.
so, yeah, I have a opportunity this next school year to set the tone for myself. And I'm really hoping I can stick to waking up just a little bit earlier than them. That way I can like throw on some clothes, run a brush through my hair, and start my coffee before I get the littlest up.
Mm-hmm. So not even
That's the goal.
yeah, so not even doing like a full face of makeup or just
Nope.
just ticking off those basic things. And I know what you mean because quite often, unless I have to be somewhere in person, I kind of do the same thing with my girls because the aim of my first 2 hours of existence is to make sure they are where they need to be. And so I very often will throw on my Pilates clothes, may or may not have brushed my hair. I put on my sunglasses and I'm just driving them.
Yeah.
The only difference is I don't need to physically get out and walk them in anywhere. So I guess you're still at the stage where you're walking
I
yours
do. I do
in.
walk her
So
in.
yeah,
And so I have to get out of the car.
yeah,
And it's a whole thing with both of them. So I have to
yeah,
get the stroller out and like it's a whole
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so I look crazy in the mornings. And then I usually sometime between the drop off and pickup will have done something to look at least decent. And I show up at least decent looking towards the end. But yeah, morning me and even and afternoon me are very different people.
You have this
Um,
transformation over the school day.
yeah.
That's really
And it's like
funny.
not even a big transformation. You know how like you'll see like TikTok or something, they'll say like, oh, this is what I look like in the morning and now I've done my glam. Like
Yeah.
it's like crazy looking to like non-homeless looking. Like that's where my situation goes.
Oh my.
Oh, I don't have the full glam. I barely wear mascara. It's like, yeah, I
Well,
just look
yeah,
normal.
but you've got nice dark eyelashes, so you can get away with it. When I don't wear mascara, because my eyelashes are fairer, I look exhausted. So I have to, regardless of whatever the heck else I'm wearing or looking like, I've got to have the mascara. I can. That's my one thing. I'm not great with makeup. I don't wear a lot of makeup, but I have to have mascara.
Oh man, but yeah, getting ready. We have to wear our mascara. We have to like put some effort into
Yeah.
ourselves. And then, like you said, I get out of the car, and so that kind of leads me into my next thing that I want to do is to get more involved.
Oh.
I feel like I have over the last 2 years wanted to get more involved, but then like I had a baby, and then I was depressed during the first year of the baby's life, and then I finally got myself back and I was like, I don't want to use my spare time around these kids that have snot and get me sick. So I was like, well, let me donate things. And I found ways to kind of be involved. And so people know who I am, but I want to like step it up this year.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll join the PTA. Like
Oh
maybe I'll
wow.
get crazy.
Really?
It's a new school for us. Like we're going to a new
Hmm.
school this year. So it's my opportunity to kind of be like, what do I want to show up as a mom? Like, do I want to be the mom that like, rolls up with the crazy bun and the sunglasses and is like, take my kid? Or do I want to show up like looking all decent and like, hello, teacher. Hello, good day, other mothers. Like, do I want to do that?
Are you going to turn into one of these annoyingly organized mums that I aspire to be?
That is my greatest wish. I wish I was that mom who was like, I always think of that scene in Bridesmaids where Helen walks in and her hair like flows and she's wearing an evening gown.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to be that mom. I'm not, I'm somewhere in the middle, but like, I would like to strive to be a little bit more put together and involved in the school.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, so my girls are in high school and middle school now, and I don't feel that there's as much. I mean, they do have PTA, so they do. But I don't feel that there's as much opportunity to be involved as the kids get older.
Mm,
When they were in elementary school, I would go in at least once a week and volunteer. I would read with the kids that were struggling to read, and then whenever they had book days where the teachers would usually read the books, I would volunteer to do that. And so I was really quite involved in their elementary school days. And then last year, when my youngest went to middle school, that stopped. And then I just don't see the same opportunities in high school and middle school for parents. So I'm not really, involved with the day-to-day
yeah.
running of things at the school. That said, because my eldest daughter has an IEP, I am, I do at least see the teachers and meet with them regularly because I'll tell you, Christina, once they get to middle school, that stops. You literally don't have any contact with their teachers. You don't have any parent teacher conferences or parents
Well,
evening, like they call it in England. None of that. I mean, the only time you really hear from a teacher is if they've got missing work or this, something's gone wrong. But that will be,
yeah, you're getting the bad news.
yeah, that's the totality of your teacher and parent involvement, in my experience in middle school and high school.
Well, I think it also depends on the size of your school
Mm.
because I know I live in a smaller town
Mhm.
and I grew up in the Bay Area, which we talked about, is a bigger area, but like and when I moved to Northern California, I did go to a smaller school. And in my high school experience, there was like booster club moms and people that helped with, the snack bar for the football game. And I got to know a lot of the like more involved mothers.
Mhm.
And they kind of became like mother figures in our lives, as
Wow.
kids. Like we know, oh, that's Mrs. Brewer or something. And like she does the snack bar and we know her kids. They're these people. And there was that ability.
Mm.
But I hear you because if you have a bigger school, there's all sorts of kids, all sorts of families. It's not the same as that same involvement, which is a bummer because if there were ever a time where you need to know what the hell's happening when you're not around, it's then,
Yeah,
right?
it
Like,
is. And actually, I
what
suppose
kind of trouble is a 5-year-old going to get up to after school
sure.
versus like a 15, 16 year
I
old?
know. And honestly, I feel for the middle school teachers because I think middle school's probably like the worst of the lot of them because they've got these really young teenagers that have just been, left their cocoon of elementary school and then they rock up at this, bigger school with new rules and, they're treated like little adults and they all go crazy. So I think the middle
Yeah.
schools actually, they have it worse than the high schools as far as, dealing with a fair share of goodness knows what. But yeah, it is interesting how that kind of parental involvement shifts. But like you say, I'm sure there are lots of opportunities if you were to inquire with the school and the PTA. I mean, PTAs just love recruiting new members. They are.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. They're like, please, please come.
yeah,
We
yeah.
need the
So,
help.
I mean, if people listening to this do want to get involved, just contact your PTA because they will happily
Yes.
have you.
Also, a tip I will leave with our listeners
Mm.
is if you're trying to make sure that the staff know you,
Mhm.
get in good with the office secretaries
Oh, that's a
because
good one.
they are like, the captains of the ship here. Like,
Yeah.
you think it's the principal, but it's not. It's the lady at the front desk
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
she
yeah, you're
sees
right.
everything. And we have a sweet lady named Rosemary who's like our front desk lady at our current school, and we're leaving. I'm so sad to not have
Oh,
her. But I used to like bring in treats for her, and like my mother-in-law made toffee, and I bring that in, or Christmas gifts. And yeah, Rosemary and I, we know each other. And so if my
so
kid's
nice.
sick or something's happening, it's like first name basis. I don't,
Definitely.
I have a little bit more perk because she knows me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that from elementary school as well. And also the school nurse, because it was such a small school that they were at. Everyone knows you by first name. Whereas
Yeah.
now, my eldest is at a school, excuse me, with 3,000 kids. 3,000 kids. That and
That's so many children.
oh my God, I don't know how they do it. They all need medals. But
Oh
yeah,
my
that's a lot
God.
in comparison to their elementary school where there was probably 200 kids. So it's a
That's
massive,
wild, Claire. I can't even
massive difference.
imagine what that campus looks like.
Oh, it's a lot.
Oh
I
man.
couldn't do it. Hats off to them for sure.
Well, I love this for us. I love that we're starting to kind of think of other things. I was thinking about also like you talked a little bit about staying on top of emails. I would like to stay upon the house. Like I feel like when school year kicks off and you're kind of getting back into the drop off routine and you're getting all this stuff done, like I don't know about you, but I forget to weekly grocery shop or, I gotta figure out my meal planning. And like, then, as things come home, Stella brings home all this like arts and crafts and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I gotta put this somewhere. And like, there's all this organization that goes with mothers when the school year starts. It's like, oh, I gotta think about all these things at a higher level because I don't have the flexibility of I'll just go on Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. What about all the back to school stuff? Now, I don't know whether it's as intense
Ooh,
for you, but like because my kids are older,
yeah.
I feel that we just need to provide a little bit more for them. And also, they're more particular. So when they were younger, I would just buy them their backpacks and stuff. Oh no, they've obviously got to do everything, their own. They've got to do their own thing now. And it's funny because trends change year from year. So what they're all like sheep. So what they would have worn last year, backpack wise, or even water bottle. Oh, that's the worst. Water bottles. If there are mums listening to this who've got middle-aged or high school age kids, you'll know what I'm talking about, especially girls. So last year they had to have a Lululemon water bottle. These like $40, you know, pink water bottles. Well, they're now out. I mean, they still use them, but they now want these huge Stanley cups. And last year, I couldn't get them because there was this particular color. I think it was pink they wanted. Oh, they'd sold out like the first day of the summer holidays because all the teenage girls wanted them. And so, yeah, they're so particular about water bottles.
I do not. I've seen this. I've seen this with adults and I've seen it with children.
Right.
This like fascination with water bottles. And like, yeah, I'm a Starbucks girly. I like the
Yes.
Starbucks
Yeah,
tumblers. I
they're good.
have a couple of them.
Yeah.
My husband would say more than a couple. But I don't get the obsession because I'm thinking back to my high school years and I couldn't tell you one single time I had a drink of water. Like,
I don't remember ever
I
throwing
don't
a
even
water
remember
bottle.
drinking water. Did I do it?
I'm
Maybe.
not sure. I think there were water fountains, which I don't think anyone would have dared drink out of anyway. And just because they look gross, there was snot all over them
Yeah.
and God knows what.
I mean, like, I remember doing sports and we had water bottles for that, but it was like, I don't know, like a plastic water bottle that you used and then you reused and reused. And it was like just to the point where it got all crunchy and then you had to throw it away and get a new one. Like, that's my house. But we
Well,
also grew up in a different income and we didn't do the whole like your backpack is this new backpack because that's, the new thing. It was like you keep that backpack until it rips.
yes.
And then even then, it better rip in a way that you can't still use it.
Oh my God. It's so funny. But now they just follow the fads and they've got to have what all the other kids are having. But on the topic of water bottles, I've just glanced behind me. This is my 13-year-old's water bottle. Look at this. Hang on.
Oh,
Right.
is it behind you? And because you're in
No,
her room.
oh, yes.
Oh my God.
This. So this is a
For those who
huge
cannot see, Claire
34
just picked up a water bottle that's bigger than her head.
I'm serious. It's so what's this? 1,700 milliliters, whatever that is, 56 ounces. So this, she ordered it off Amazon, and to be fair, it was about $8. So a lot more reasonable than the like $2,000 Stanley cups. They're not $2,000, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
They're
Where
like
I'm going with it.
$45 though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
they're expensive.
They're expensive. And so this is now what she drinks every day. This is how obsessed, and it's it's a good thing, but kind of a little over the top. This is what she drinks in a day. And so like 7 a.m., we start at 7 a.m. That's how much she should have drunk. Then it goes to 9, all the way up to 9 p.m. at night.
It gives her like timelines.
Yeah.
She has to like
And
have a
she does
goal.
it every day, which I should probably follow suit. But it's just highlighting the
Girl, but the thing
obsession
is
with
that level of water consumption that fast is like that is a child's work because as women who've had babies, that would make me pee my pants.
I know. We have other things to consider when I'm purchasing
know.
a large water bottle.
I can't with the water bottles. But yeah, it is a school. So there's a school supplies, which is like the things the teachers request.
Yeah.
And then there's also like the school supplies that your children want because everybody else has them. So yeah, it can get kind of pricey and also hard to find certain things. And as you go older, there's certain things like types of calculators, I imagine, and types of technology that you need to grab. And the school doesn't really provide much for those teachers.
No, they don't. The good thing is that my daughter's schools, certainly they do provide them with Chromebooks. Excuse me. So I don't need to provide them with a laptop. That's already provided for, which is great. Some of them actually have iPads. I don't think my girls have those for school, but some schools do give out those. So that's taken care of. But then again, because I've got teenage girls, they need back to school outfits because we don't have uniform here. Now, people back in England listening to this will be like, well, what the heck? Because most schools in England have uniform. It's rare that a school doesn't have uniform, including public schools. And so in England, it was easy because they have to wear a uniform. So there's no drama over what they're going to be wearing. Oh my God, I've got nothing to wear. Being late for school because I can't possibly decide what outfit to wear. You wear the uniform. So here, that's another thing you need to take into consideration. The fact that, they're wanting new clothes for school. So
how do you navigate that, Claire? Do you set like a budget and like this is the amount you get to spend? Do you go to certain stores and grab a certain amount of jeans and stuff?
Yeah, so I don't tend to do it by amount. I say to them they can have a back to school outfit. So that would include a new pair of shoes, a new pair of trainers or whatever. What do you call them here? You don't call them trainers, do you? Like sneakers?
Shoes?
Well,
sneakers, yeah.
Sneakers. So a new pair of sneakers because that's what they wear for school. And then a full outfit. So that whether that's, new leggings and a top or jeans and a top or whatever it is they want to wear. So that's what I will provide them with. And then also the backpack and the water bottle. My mum will usually either send me a bit of money so she can get them an outfit too. So they do tend to end up actually with a couple of new things to go back to school with. Because obviously the stuff in their wardrobes in their closets is fine. They can rewear it. They only got it probably 3 months before school started anyway. It's just that I think psychologically... They want to
I
have
feel
yeah,
that.
and I
I like want to shop
understand
all the
that.
time. I totally
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, I do
I get
too.
it for them.
I do too, yeah.
We in our house, we haven't hit that yet because
Yeah.
Stella does not care as long as it's comfortable. She's
Yeah.
cool with whatever she's
Yeah,
wearing.
I love that
Um,
stage. Mhm.
but I know, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I recall my mom used to do a budget. It was like, well, my mom didn't actually do it. My grandma did.
Okay.
And it was like, I think $200 was the amount,
Oh,
which was a
I was
lot of
gonna
money
say,
for
that's a
me
lot.
in the back in the day.
That's a lot of that's still a decent budget now, and we're talking like in the, you know,
Yeah, 2004.
2000s.
Don't date me
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah,
2004,
yeah, yeah.
2002,
Yeah,
around there.
yeah.
And we would take my happy ass over to Mervin's and we would we would go into like the juniors department and it would probably buy me a couple, tops, maybe a couple pairs of skirt, jeans, whatever.
Mhm.
And I didn't care about shoes and I still don't care about
Mm.
shoes. I've never been a shoe gal. And
Yeah.
so as long as my shoes fit, I was good.
Mhm.
My husband is a shoe guy though, so I think our kids
Oh.
are going to inherit that.
Yeah, yeah, my
Um,
husband is actually. He likes his shoes. He's got
yeah,
more
he's a
shoes than I
Nike.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, but yeah, that is something to factor in
Mm,
is like the cost of that, getting the time to go do that shopping, making
mm.
sure everything's good. So we have some stuff to work on,
We
like before
do.
the school year starts.
What
Um,
about, let's talk about, so when the kids go back to school, how does that make our day easier or doesn't it? I mean, like, how would, for you, how
yeah.
does that work?
Well, I was thinking about this,
Yeah.
and one thing that I've got going for me
Mhm.
is that I never left the routine of school.
Oh,
So my kids have the same wake up and bedtime year round. It
mhm.
doesn't matter if it's vacation. I mean, she might stay up a little bit later, like maybe 8:30 p.m. Whoa, crazy.
Oh,
Like
wow. What time is
they
bedtime
usually
there?
go to bed at 7.
Oh God, wow.
Yeah. So my kids wake up around 6 or 6:30.
Mhm,
And then my littlest takes a nap during the day, but my
mhm,
oldest, they both go down at 7.
mm,
And my oldest has a TV in her room.
mhm.
And so we usually put a sleeper timer on it for 1 hour, and she gets to have 1 hour of her favorite show before bed.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
And then the timer turns the TV off, and that's just, she has to go to bed now.
Okay, so
And she
hang
doesn't
on.
argue.
She's in bed at 7, and you give her basically like an hour grace period with the
Yeah.
TV. Yeah. Okay.
And she usually falls asleep before that. She usually falls asleep with the show on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's in bed, and then my littlest has nursery lullabies, and so she's usually fast asleep within 10-15 minutes. And so then I stay up with Alex till about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then I call it a night usually.
Hmm.
11 if we're feeling wild and we've gotten really into a Netflix show.
Okay.
But like
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
9:30 or 10. So like we've kept that up all summer. And so the
Mhm.
routine of that should be pretty easy going into the school year. Also, like you, my little one had summer school.
Mhm.
And so we've been dropping off and
Yeah.
doing the stuff like
Mhm.
we've been doing during the school year. So that routine also hasn't shifted. The cool thing though is I don't know if your school's like this,
Mhm.
but summer school over here is shortened. It's
Mm.
only half day.
Mm.
And school is actually like a full day. It's usually like an 8 to 2:30 type
Yeah.
situation. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about less drive time.
Yes, yeah. So summer school for us has been 8:30 while 12:45, which is shorter than the regular school day. And I found that honestly, I've not been able to get a great deal done in between that space because it was half an hour to get there and back. It wasn't near us. It was at
Exactly.
the most, northerly high school in the district. So that's how it
Welcome
would
to
be.
my life, Claire.
Well,
Everything is 30 minutes away.
I
So it's like, yeah,
remember
you're
that
right. You're like,
life.
you get in the car, you get into school, and then it's 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back.
Yeah,
Then you get your stuff done. You barely get your cup of coffee, you're barely
yes.
awake, and then somebody calls you, an email goes through, and oh look, it's time to pick her up.
Tell me about it. And I do remember that because when I lived in France, I was living out in the sticks and everything was half an hour away. So I understand that life. I've lived it. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to, for me, I think that the school day does provide me with more structure because I can, if I'm being very focused as well, get work done during that time. And so because I work from home and I work for myself, I'm either working on the podcast or I'm still a journalist, so I'm doing my journalist stuff. And so by the time I've dropped the girls back, I come back and have a cup of tea, have some breakfast because I don't do that before I drop the girls off. I'm
Same.
either not hungry or I don't have the brain capacity to think about that. It's like I just need to get these people to school and then I'll do me afterwards. And so I'll have a cup of tea, have some breakfast, and then by like 10 at the very latest, I'm sat down working. And then I can do
Yeah.
that till I can probably do that till at least, well, say 2. And then maybe even 2:30 depending on the day. But then what I need to do quite frequently is then once I've collected the girls and maybe I've dropped them off at dancing or done whatever I need to do with them after school, I work in between. So I'm actually working, and I'm sure a lot of mums can relate to this. Okay, I'm not at an office for 8 or 10 hours a day, but my day is spread out from 6:30 a.m. till probably 11 o'clock at night. And in between that, I have chunks where I'm doing like work, as in the podcast, as in reporting on stories, and then everything else that we do as mums. So I don't have like a block, an 8 hour block where I can dedicate to work. I'm just dipping in and dipping out of work all day, frankly. So it's not
Yeah.
uncommon. This is not healthy, and I do want to work on this next school year. But it's not uncommon for me to be editing stories for my job as a journalist at 10 o'clock at night. And
Yeah, because
what,
it's like the only
yeah,
uninterrupted
yes,
solid block.
yes. And then, but
Yeah,
what
I hear
happens
you.
is I wake up and I'm exhausted, Christina, because my mind has been working till the very last second before I fell asleep. And so I wake up and I'm so not refreshed. I'm lethargic. I can't think straight. So I need to try and get that balance right because I don't think it's right at the minute. So this new school year is an opportunity for me to do that, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I've mentioned we both been working parents outside
Mm,
of the home where we go to an office. We've
mhm,
been work from home parents, and I've been like a stay at home mom full stop
mhm.
before. And I think that it is hard no matter how you shake it.
Yeah.
But I think that no matter what you're doing, motherhood and then any other like work that you're doing, they always intermingle. So
Yes, they
even when
do.
I was in an office, I found myself taking personal calls,
Oh, yeah.
organizing daycare schedules on my breaks, like
Hmm.
figuring out things, maybe even working while I'm on the clock, like, sorry about it, but like
Oh, yeah.
having to do stuff while I'm on the clock
Yep.
because there's no other focused time.
No, I
Because
totally
you
agree.
know, as a working mom, like just like you're experiencing now, when you get home, there is no like solid, quiet working space when you
No,
have any sort of child.
no.
So you're trying to like gather in the spaces that you can. And when you're at work at an office, you may be doing things like bill pay or grocery shopping online
Yeah.
or meal planning while you're on your break or on your lunch. You're not actually like having downtime.
Hmm.
And then as work from home parents, we're doing the same thing. We're trying to find pockets where we can
Yes.
stuff like
Yes.
our professional selves
Hmm.
while also getting to the kids and stuff. And it's really hard. For me, it's nap time. I'm supposed to be doing stuff during nap time, and by the middle of the day, I'm so exhausted. And I was trying to explain to my husband, it's not so much the sleep lack. Like I'm getting
Mm,
enough sleep.
mm,
It's that I'm mentally drained by the time we get to the middle of the day.
mm.
Like I have been working all morning on getting us to story time and doing the potty routine about 4 or 500 times and like stopping the car, pulling over, getting in the travel potty. Like my brain wants to go and just do nothing. And the only way I can do that is if I take a nap.
Mhm.
And so I find I'm using my working time for a nap, and then I'm having to shove all my working on top of maybe the time I'm supposed to be playing with her.
Yeah.
And it's like, meh, I might be editing a reel while I'm like holding a book, being like, yeah, Susie then went to the store. And like,
That is the
I'm like
definition of
halfway there.
multitasking there, Christina.
Well, I know all the stories that she likes by heart, so I don't really need to look at
Oh,
them.
that's funny.
But I try to reduce the mom guilt and the fact that I am so goddamn present from the hours of like 6 until about 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then, we have this nap time break. And then later in the afternoon, you get what you get, kids. Like I gave you a lot
The B
earlier
team.
today.
The B team are in charge.
I'm like, we are just, this
Yeah.
is like good enough is good enough towards the
Yeah.
end of the day
Oh,
until
I
you go to
hear
sleep.
you. I hear you. But I'd love to hear from our listeners. What are you most looking forward to about the kids going back to school? And what are you least looking forward to about them going back to school? Because there are, I will miss them. I mean, I feel like they have been doing their own stuff. They've either been in summer school or doing stuff with their friends. So it's not like I have been with them the entire summer. But I don't know. It's just nice. I think mentally, maybe it's just a psychological thing, but I feel that in my head, we have more freedom in the summer with the kids.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
will miss that because it is more regimented for sure when they go back to school. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Momversation Club.
And if you've enjoyed today's show, which we hope you have, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach even more moms and build a stronger village.
Until next time, bye.